Okay, part two. So, just to reiterate, if you feel like you cannot breathe and get enough oxygen, then that is when you need to seek medical attention. Other than that, you may feel really crummy, like a flu like illness, and I would just encourage you to stay home until you feel like you can't breathe. Um, Coming to the hospital when you feel like you can't breathe doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to intubate you. It very well may be that you just need some extra oxygen, which we can give you through a little plastic tube in your nose. You've probably seen it before. So a lot of people, the main thing that we're seeing is what we call hypoxia. People are coming in, they're not getting enough oxygen into their bloodstream. I've seen a few different kind of theories behind why that's happening with this virus, and not quite sure what is the true theory yet. We'll see. Very interesting and intriguing stuff going on out there as far as medical research, but yeah, just kind of proves the point of this is not a normal virus. This is not just influenza, it's different, and we're dealing with a whole different animal here. So that means we have to learn how to treat it differently. When we talk about people going into acute respiratory distress syndrome, it's seeming like I'm not in the ICU, I'm in the ER, so I don't know exactly, but from what I'm hearing, they're having to treat it differently than they normally would, and the reason is because it's different. It's not the normal respiratory failure to some extent. It's a different kind of respiratory failure. People aren't getting enough oxygen in their blood for a different kind of reason, and it's systemic throughout the whole lung system. So there's lots of research and information coming out on that. It's hard to say what's legit and what's not at this point because everything's just kind of being thrown out there. Everyone's finding different stuff. Not everyone's finding different stuff, but there's multiple different kind of theories going on. Okay, so your symptoms may start vague and then become more specific over a week. You might only ever have vague symptoms, and you may never have symptoms at all. Some of the symptoms that have been going around, the vague symptoms are like my teeth and my jaw hurt, or I lost my sense of smell or taste, or I had diarrhea, or all I had was body aches, or all I had was like burning in my lungs, or couldn't breathe, like just a tiny bit short of breath for a few days. So there's lots of vague symptoms out there. Be in touch with your body, and just because your symptoms are vague doesn't mean you're not putting off a generous amount of the virus everywhere you go. So because of that, the government has and the medical system has started asking people to wear masks anytime they leave their homes. Now, things have obviously changed because a few weeks ago they were saying, don't wear masks, don't wear a mask, don't wear a mask. And I wanted to explain the reasoning behind that. So one of the main ways that they're finding people are catching the illness is by touching their face after they've touched COVID germs. And so when you're wearing a mask, it is very hard not to touch your face. You have something over your nose, it maybe slip up and get into your eyes, you're taking it on and off, you're adjusting it, all these things. I watch people doing it in the hospital all the time. I do it myself. I'm trying to learn. It's a big deal. We all need to learn how to not touch our faces because that's how this virus is mainly spreading, is the last thing that I heard. So in telling people not to wear masks, the thought was, don't touch your face. And when people wear masks, they touch their faces all the time. At least this is what I've gathered, and this is my theory. And then now they have asked us to wear masks because when you put a mask on somebody who has the illness, who has COVID-19, they spread a significantly less amount of virus everywhere they go. So if I'm an asymptomatic carrier and I have no clue, Yet I go to the grocery store and I don't wear a mask. Anything I breathe on or touch or whatever is getting contaminated. If I wear a mask, then I'm keeping most of my virus in my mask. So the thought process behind everyone wearing a mask is just now assuming that we have lots of infected people in our communities and we can help contain the virus from spreading by wearing a mask. So wearing a mask is not about keeping yourself from catching it. You will catch it through touching your eyes, through touching your nose, through touching your face, through breathing in a cough or something, a droplet from nearby, someone nearby who's infected. That's why we're doing distance, right? And so the thought behind wearing a mask is keeping our germs to ourselves, but still so important not to touch our faces when you're wearing a mask. So if you're going to wear a mask, just keep reminding yourself over and over again, don't touch your face. If you're going grocery shopping and you see someone touching their face, tell them, don't touch your face. All right, so that's that. I think I addressed the gloves thing in another video, but I was having a hard time with my Instagram videos figuring out how to make them not disappear. I'm not techie, so back to YouTube videos. Gloves, I feel like, and all of us in medicine are saying the same thing from what I can see. Gloves are giving a false sense of security. They are just another layer of your skin. So anything you touch with your gloves is contaminating everything else. If you rub your nose with your glove and then you touch something, that surface is contaminated. If you touch that surface and then you rub your nose, you are contaminated and infected. If you touch your groceries with your gloves that you've touched the dirty handle with, you're contaminated. So the main thing is hand hygiene. Gloves give you a false sense of security. I don't see any reason for using gloves in the outpatient setting. Like in the hospital, we use them so that we can quickly discard secretions or body fluids and then do hand hygiene. So they are not our hand hygiene in the medical field, and they should not be your hand hygiene out in the normal world, okay? Sorry, I feel a little passionate about that one, but it just feels like every time I see someone using gloves, they're not using them correctly out in the community. Okay, if you get sick at all, you have any symptoms, try to isolate yourself from your family as much as possible. Very strict hand hygiene. If you're going to blow your nose, you're going to throw that tissue right in the trash and wash your hands with soap and water. And, wiping down your surfaces in your home, wiping down your dinner table, wiping down your fridge, whatever, all those surfaces that we all touch all the time. If you're sick, and even if you're not sick, that's something we're making more regular, a more regular thing to do. Do you need to isolate yourself from your family completely and leave the house? Not unless you have someone in your family who is high risk and has a compromised immune system or is elderly. Otherwise, just isolating yourself as much as possible, not snuggling or hanging out on the couch all together or whatever. Give yourself some space and take care of yourself. So back to the mask wearing. This is what we talk about in medicine, and this needs to be the same thing out in public. If you're going to wear a mask, like I said, don't touch your face. We say clean your hands before you put the mask on. So clean hands while you're putting the mask on. So you're touching your face, you've just cleaned your hands with either hand washing or hand sanitizer. And then when you're ready to and then after you touch your face, you're going to again clean your hands. So clean your hands before and after putting on your mask. And same, especially important when you take it off. If you're going to take your mask off when you get in your car after going to the grocery store, you better have clean hands. Because if not, you're not doing yourself any good. You are touching your face and contaminating yourself. So hand sanitizer in those scenarios, or just wait till you get home and wash your hands with soap and water. If you missed the first video of this, there's a first video because my phone cut me off. But so there'll be a part 1 and part 2 of this COVID-19 update. Again, just feel encouraged that the longer we go before having our peak in the Central Valley here, the more prepared we are, the more prepared our government is, the more supplies we have. There's a lot of companies out there working really hard to get us the supplies we need to take care of people. Also, just a lot of grief going on around us. Feel very aware of that. But also just find hope in the Lord in the middle of grief around us. There's always hope and light, even if it's not in our situation. So may the Lord bless you with peace and calm, and go support your medical people around you. They need it. They need to be encouraged, those working in healthcare, not just the doctors and nurses. There's a lot of people working in healthcare that are a part of our team that need to be encouraged. So, yeah, bless you guys. Hope you're having a good week, and talk to you later. Bye.